Okay, hi everyone. So, just wanted to do a little. I honestly don't know if this is breaking news to most people, but it's breaking news to me. I'm gonna call it breaking news to me. New segment. Some of you know about this Stephanie Ruhle. Stephanie Ruhle is an MSNBC anchor, and spoiler alert, I've been talking about her a lot. I talked about her on my live stream last night, and I talked about her on this week's Useful Idiots, and I also talked about her on Rising, which is the show that I go on, the great show with Crystal Ball and Sagar and Jetty. But thanks to David Griscom, I now know something else about Stephanie Ruhle. But before we get into that, I'm trying to think of the order in which I should do it. You know what? Let's go through her videos, okay? First, then we're gonna share the interesting thing that I just found out. All right. So in case you guys don't know, this is Stephanie Ruhle. She's on MSNBC. She's worth a lot of money. I mean, that's probably redundant that I just said those things, but let's watch her with Bernie Sanders. This is how she decides to question him when he's on her show to talk about trying to, stop people from starving to death or starving to discomfort, let's say, by only getting $600 a month. Okay, so let's watch how excited Stephanie Ruhle is about this push to get Americans more money during a pandemic. Okay, watch this. You're going to be very moved. She's very compassionate. She really cares about people suffering. So I also really do hope that if everyone already knows of this clip, that's going to be embarrassing because I thought it was cool. The reason I'm doing this thing now is because I don't stream again until Sunday night, and I already taped Useful Idiots and Rising, so I thought this was important enough.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders from the state of Vermont is leading a group of progressive Democratic senators demanding $1,200 stimulus checks be included in the next relief bill. Senator, we've heard your impassioned argument. Help us understand, how many other senators have you convinced to support these stimulus checks?
Okay, I just want to pause this here, right? Help us understand how many other senators you've convinced. That's not a help us understand question. It's not like help us understand how we can translate people's anger into positive organizing to get people more money. Like, it's a very black and white question, but she's kind of trying to make it seem less hostile, but she gives that away shortly, so stand by for that.
Any Republicans on board?
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator...
Okay, watch the grimace, okay? Watch that grimace, and then watch her follow-up questions.
On board?
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator...
She's trying not to smile. She's so excited that he only thinks that there is one. I could break this down to like a millisecond and find tons of crap in it.
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator Holly...
Who? Watch this. All right, I promise I'll play the whole thing.
Understand, how many other senators
have you
convinced to support these stimulus checks? Any Republicans on board?
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator Holly indicates that he's... Okay,
then the eye roll. Okay, watch this. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have Joy-Ann Reid's woman who can come and do the body language that she did, analysis that she did with Bernie Sanders. Okay. So far, how many things has she already done? She's already bullshit question set up. Help us understand. Really break down for us. Let's do a deep dive. Let's really drill down into how many other senators you've convinced to do this with you. Help us understand that. Okay, so it's bullshit, weird framing. Then we got the grimace. What else? We got the eye roll and the who. Okay, and this is only, how many seconds have I played? Like 5?
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders from the state of Vermont. He is leading a group of progressive Democratic senators demanding $1,200 stimulus checks be included in the next relief bill. Senator, we've heard your impassioned argument. Help us understand, how many other senators have you convinced to support these stimulus checks? Any Republicans on board?
Yes, I think there is one, but Senator Holly indicates that he support of a $1,200 per person direct payment and $600 or $500 for children. I think the Democratic caucus is ready to go.
She's
go
waiting
forward
for her
on that.
next
Yesterday,
question. She doesn't care what the answer is. She has her next talking point.
And I think we can have virtually all of the United States Democratic senators on board. The question now is whether or not Mitch McConnell is going to turn his back, as your report just indicated, on the incredible suffering that the American people, the working people, are now experiencing. Unemployment high. We have a record level of hunger in America. Millions of people are facing evictions. This is an emergency. Congress has got to respond aggressively to help working families. You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money.
Seems like she actually, that lands with her, which I like.
Endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today,
corporate welfare doesn't land with her. We'll understand why.
That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would.
You're trying to get her talking point.
We're going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Smirk.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally.
Okay, I've said this before, and I'm sorry to the other shows I've been on this week. I have to just talk about this, and I'll give you a whole extra clip or something. But you hear what she just said, right? Senator, I'm not agreeing with you. You know what that is? That's a tell. What she means to say is, Senator, I'm not fundamentally disagreeing with her. Senator, I'm not fundamentally disagreeing with you. Or she means to say, I'm fundamentally agreeing with you, right? And we need a name for that. It's like the technocratic shuffle or something. It's when you pretend that your ideological aversion is based in pragmatism, right? Look, I love the idea of Medicare for all. I love that idea. I want it so hard. I really want it, but it's just not doable. It's just not viable. We just can't do it. Yeah, I will do a video essay about this. I just wanted to get this clip out there because in case it's not, it's all right. Again, this will be really embarrassing if everyone already knows about this other video she did, but I kind of wanted to get out in front of it, to spread the word. So then I'll make another essay about this. Okay. So where was I? All right, there's your Freudian slip. What's great about this, it has all the neoliberal talking points, all the kind of corporate media talking points, corporate liberal media.
But I want to talk to you practically.
Look, I totally disagree with you fundamentally because I actually oppose, ideologically, fundamentally, I oppose helping people during a pandemic get $1,200 a month instead of $600 a month. But I'm going to pretend that I like that idea, which I don't. And that's why I just accidentally revealed, I went from talking point to truth when I said, I fundamentally disagree with you. Again, let's be clear. This woman is saying, I fundamentally disagree with you that people deserve $1,200 a month. I fundamentally disagree because I think that $600 is fine. Stop it there. That's all they need. Also, okay, just a little side note. I know I commented on her dress. It's a little Star Trek-y. I kind of do like it, but let's not talk about that in the comments because that's not really what it's about. And then, people are going to say that we're being superficial, even though I know it's not you would say it about a man too. Anyway, okay, let me get back to this.
The lead sponsor of 422.
Oh, here, ready? She's bringing the receipts. Watch this.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have
Allow me to throw to the graphic now.
Become law. Given that record and how dire things are, as you just laid out, do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
I don't think that's the issue, Stephanie. I mean, you can ask me how many other senators have passed significant legislation in recent years.
Okay. And of course, that's relevant. And we can go through this whole clip. That's really the best of it, though. I think that's really where she shines. But I think it's important that people know that this is not, kind of like an isolated incident. She's really consistently great on this stuff. So I'm going to show another clip. And yeah, everyone like and subscribe and all that jazz. Yeah. Okay. So here's another great appearance from Stephanie Ruhle. Wait, I just had it. I closed the wrong window. 1 second. Okay. And this is from, who clipped? This was clipped by Christo Aivalis. That's Christo, Chrissto Aivalis, just so you can find him on YouTube. All right, 1 second, guys. Now you guys get to see the behind the scenes of a video essay that I'm hopefully gonna do. Oh no, now MSNBC is gonna know and they're gonna prep something. They're gonna tell you guys where I went to private school or something, which people think is very indicting. I mean, call me class traitor, I love it. Okay. Also, anyone watching, if you're not watching on YouTube, please subscribe, please like, all that jazz and all that jazz. All right. Here we go.
Michael, Joe Biden said yesterday that his campaign is Scranton versus Park Avenue. Why is he going with this divide and conquer approach? That's Trump's thing. What about a message for all Americans? I don't live on Park Avenue, but I live pretty close to it. And you know how I got there? Working my butt off. He doesn't want my vote?
Won't somebody please think?
Okay, so Steph, I appreciate that you're feeling insecure at that moment and you're feeling triggered because of Biden's very disingenuous claim that there's some kind of class warfare happening between him and Donald Trump. And again, I'm going to remind people that Joe Biden said, not as a slogan, but actually truthfully to a bunch of rich people at an event, he said nothing would fundamentally change under his presidency. So again, but I guess Stephanie Ruhle is like so viscerally opposed to any kind of welfare state, or maybe her taxes going up, or anything that even like suggests that maybe there's some greed among people who live on Park Avenue. And I've checked it out. She lives on 3rd Avenue, which is, it goes from Park to Lex to 3rd. So she's not so far from Park Avenue, but like she didn't come from a poor family, and she's been working in finance forever. And so I don't know how much she worked her butt off. I mean, maybe she did, but if she worked her butt off, I'm sure she has her, you know, she did it by whatever the metaphor is, worked her butt off by treading on the necks of other people, you know, because she works with hedge funds and all that stuff. So, all right, let's go. So that's an interesting thing. But here's the thing that I didn't know until recently. And again, thanks to David for telling me about this. I'll give some shout outs, but we're teaming up with Stephanie Ruhle and Jay Williams to chat about planning for life's unpredictable moments. Let me just share the screen for that one. So that, by the way, I forgot to actually share the screen, but the reason that's interesting, what I'm about to show you, is because this is something from Chase, you know, Chase, the bank. All right. So here it is, right? We're teaming up with Stephanie Ruhle and Jay Williams to chat about planning for life's unpredictable moments. Click below to watch the full conversation on demand. You won't want to miss it. You really won't want to miss it. I'll explain in a second. But here, let's watch her. Let's hear what she has to say, guys.
Hey, this is Stephanie Ruhle, and I'm looking forward to my conversation with Chase, where we talk about life's unpredictable moments and how important it is to save and plan for them. I hope you're going to join us. Jay Williams and I are going to dig into all the crazy things we're dealing with in our lives right now and how we can best prepare for them. I'm excited to be part of Chase Chat's webcast. I hope you'll join us.
Chase Chats, that's awesome, right? That sounds really amazing. Chase Chats.
Hey, this is Stephanie Ruhle, and
so,
I'm looking forward to my conversation.
When she says don't miss it, right? You're not going to want to miss it. You won't want to miss it. And that's true, because if you actually go to this and you try to watch it, and this is very unfortunate. I don't know what happened, but wait, where's the link? Oh, here it is. Guys, brace yourselves. Private video unavailable. So maybe if there are any Chase people out there who want to share that video in case it's discoverable, maybe if you like pay a certain amount of money, you can get access to it. This is from September 22nd. Yeah, Larry Smith writes, if Chase Bank is teaming up with MSNBC people, maybe I have to rethink where I do my banking. Then someone's like, love Stephanie. She's great. Excellent, honest reporter. I'm thinking that's sarcastic, right? Love you, Stephanie. Yeah, okay. So this is really interesting. That's kind of funny. Taking financial tips from old Steph. I'd rather get marital advice from Bill and Hillary. But I don't think that's true because I think she does do really well. But yeah, I don't know. Like, again, what I like about Steph is that, oh my God, this is hilarious. Sorry, Chase picked you, the radical left you are. I love watching like the right respond to things that the left is upset about, but in totally different ways. Anyway, so, but what I like about Steph is that she really wears her, like how craven she is on her sleeve, like how craven and how opportunistic and how petty and how vindictive and how basically anti-working people or anti-99% she is. You know, other people hide it, but here she is teaming up with Chase. I mean, the only thing that I like about her is that she finally had the wherewithal and self-awareness to realize it's not a good idea, and so they made it private. And again, I just want to give people, I want to, you know, to give thanks to, first of all, Case Study QB, who's the person who clipped the original video. And then also, I just want to walk you through this very interesting, how did I learn about this? I'll tell you how I learned about this. Gosh, she's so terrible. Isn't she the worst? Sorry, I'm just really annoyed about this. But again, I appreciate that she does it so kind of overtly. And then I'm going to tell you an interesting thing about this also, which is that she repeats some talking points that we've seen from other places like the New York Times. I'll get to that in a second. Don't worry, I'm going to make this a better, like what people are saying on video essay. I'm going to actually write it out and all that. But, you know, now you guys get to see the behind the scenes. Pretty cool, right? 1 second. Where is it? David, where are you? Okay. Okay. So, David Griscom, and I'm sorry, I watch you, and I know you have a new show. Congrats on that, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, even though I've heard it a lot. David Griscom, but he on Twitter is DavidGriscom, and he's starting a new show, and he is co-host of Left Reckoning, Videos at Jacobin, the Michael Brooks Show, Forever, Honky Tonk Marxist. So yeah, his new show is Left Reckoning. But here's the thing. I wanted to share something about that talking point that she uses, which is basically, again, in case you miss it, she has a nice graphic that puts the number of bills that Bernie has sponsored versus the number that have become law, okay? And that is a major talking point about Bernie Sanders, that he has great ideas, maybe, or really it's, let's pretend that we think he has great ideas, even though they're awful and disruptive and like Marxist and too much and no one will ever vote for it. Oh yeah, she does more of that in here, actually. We'll have to play more for a clip. But one of the big ones is great ideas, but he won't be able to pass them, right? Now, one of the interesting things about this is that Steph doesn't talk about amendments. And why do I bring that up? Because Bernie's famous for passing things through amendments, okay? And he's called the Amendment King. And in fact, there's a reason that this is so relevant. And that's because, look at this, ready? Actually, I should, let's see. My co-host Matt Taibbi wrote about this. My co-host of Useful Idiots, okay, wrote about this. I'm just going to trace these talking points. Okay. I mentioned this in my piece about Sydney Ember and how much she hates Bernie and all her conflicts of interest and all the inappropriate sources she went to. Okay, so here is why. Here's the thing. Ready? Again, these talking points that great ideas, Bernie, but you just can't get them done. This is something we saw again and again from various places, including, of course, the New York Times. So had the New York Times sandbagged Bernie Sanders? This is by, again, my co-host Matt Taibbi at Useful Idiots. The New York Times ran a piece about Bernie Sanders Monday, a sort of left-handed complement of a legislative profile. It was called Bernie Sanders Scored Victories for Years via Legislative Side Doors. He writes, I took notice of the piece by Jennifer Steinhauer because I wrote essentially the same article nearly 11 years ago. Mine, called 4 Amendments and a Funeral, was a Rolling Stone feature. Sanders back then was anxious that people know how Congress worked and also how it didn't work, so he invited me to tag along for weeks to follow the process of a series of amendments he tried and mostly succeeded to pass in the House. I came to the same conclusions that Steinhauer did initially, that Sanders was skilled at the amendment process and also had a unique ability to reach across the aisle to make deals. Sanders is the amendment king of the current House of Representatives. Since the Republicans took over Congress in 1995, no other lawmaker has passed more roll call amendments that actually went to a vote on the floor, than Bernie Sanders. He accomplishes this on the one hand by being relentlessly active and on the other by using his status as an independent to form left-right coalitions. Okay, and then as Matt continues, Steinhauer the other day wrote very nearly the same thing. She described how Bernie managed to get a $1.5 billion youth jobs amendment tacked onto an immigration bill through wheeling and dealing, shaming and cajoling. By the way, just so you know, it's not like Matt was upset. That his issue with this, as you'll see, is not that she wrote a similar piece. I mean, it's a worthy subject. So the amendment she wrote was classic Bernie Sanders, a man she described as having spent a quarter century in Congress working the side door, tacking on amendments to larger bills that scratch his particular policy itches, generally focused on working class Americans, income inequality, and the environment. Now, Steinhauer's piece wasn't all flattering. This is after all the New York Times, which has practically been an official mouthpiece for the Clinton campaign this election season. But we both operated on the same set of facts, i.e. that Sanders had an extensive history of building coalitions to pass amendments. Steinhauer implied that Sanders often acted as a kind of lefty obstructionist, using Republicans to thwart more centrist initiatives. Mr. Sanders is not unlike Tea Party Republicans in his tactics, except his are a decaf version, she wrote. Okay, so let's see, one second. But yeah, as Matt says, it was especially for the New York Times, it was flattering. Sanders himself linked to the article, right? And then what happened? Not so fast. As noted first in this piece on Medium, proof that the New York Times isn't feeling the burn. And I'll just open that up so that people know who that was. It was like pizza, mozzarella, spaghetti, something. The Broken Ravioli. Oh, it's not far off. The Broken Ravioli on Medium. At Broken Ravioli. That's their name. The paper swiftly made a series of significant corrections online. A new version of the piece came out later the same day, and in my mind, the corrections changed the overall message of the article. Yeah, they did. Okay. First, as noted in the Medium piece, they changed the headline. It went from Bernie scored victories for years via legislative side doors to via legislative side doors, Bernie Sanders won modest victories. Okay. So this is very important, right? You see what happened there? The clauses are reversed, and we start out emphasizing the victories in the first one, and then the second one, we focus on the legislative side doors. So it's like starts with, in the first headline, it starts with the victories, and then refers to the process. And in this one, it refers to process, and then talks about the victories. And of course, we now have modest victories. And one, which is slightly less kind of like celebratory than scored. Okay, then Matt goes on. They yanked a quote from Bernie's longtime policy advisor, Warren Gunnels, that read, "It has been a very successful strategy." So again, guys, take that out. We're going to change the headline, and we're going to take out a flattering sentence. Actually, not just a flattering sentence. Oh, yes, flattering sentence. But then what are we going to do also? We're going to add some negative stuff into it. But in his presidential campaign, Mr. Sanders is trying to scale up those kinds of proposals as a national agenda. And there is little to draw from his small ball legislative approach to suggest that he could succeed. Mr. Sanders is suddenly promising not just a few stars here and there, but the moon and a good part of the sun, from free college tuition paid for with giant tax hikes to a huge increase in government health care, which has made even liberal Democrats skeptical. Okay. And then, as Matt says, this could, of course, have been written by a Clinton campaign. It's stridently derisive, essentially saying there's no evidence of Bernie's small ball approach. I guess Republicans aren't the only ones not above testicular innuendo, could ever succeed on the big stage. There were other changes. So the salutary line about Sanders being an effective, albeit modest legislator, key passage that in the original article directly contradicted the Clinton camp contention that Sanders can't get things done, is now followed by a sort of disclaimer. He has enacted his agenda piece by piece in politically digestible chunks with few sweeping legislative achievements in a quarter century in Congress. Right. He's effective, except for the part where he hasn't had any significant achievements in 25 years. Worse, the line about tacking on amendments to larger bills that scratch his particular itches has now absurdly been rewritten to read, we partner with, that would be funny, tacking on amendments to larger bills to succeed at the margins. Okay, so now he's marginalized, right? It's great. Again, they're kind of telling, not showing, not telling. So then Matt writes, I reached out to Steinhauer, whom the paper put in a very uncomfortable position by making such extensive edits in public. She essentially replied that in the internet age, this sort of stuff is routine and articles evolve. The good part about digital publishing is that we get more things to our readers more quickly, but it also means that complete editing sometimes comes ends at the, am I missing something? Complete editing sometimes ends at the end of the day. 2 or more persons are now pretty common with all our work, as you probably know. 2 or more versions, sorry. Well, not so much, actually. Online content does change a bit from time to time, but I've never been in a situation where an editor has asked me to alter the overall meaning of a piece, which is what happened in this case. Look at that. Oh, look at Jane on the side. It's great. Steinhauer's article, as originally published, told a story about how effective Sanders has been at getting amendments passed. It's more or less the same story I wrote back in 2005, an essentially positive take that even Sanders liked enough to publicize. The new version, though, reads very differently. In it, Sanders is described as a small ball legislator whose career has been spent doing unimportant things. The focus of the piece is now less on the what of his legislative victories than on the where, the margins. This is a substantially different message than the first piece, and certainly not flattering. You won't find the Sanders camp linking to it. The Times has taken a lot of heat from Sanders fans for not covering him enough and for its generally sarcastic approach to his run. And at times, the paper's editors have seemed to tone things down in response to criticism. They even removed a description of him as a grumpy old socialist in the headline to this piece. That's another piece. Okay. If you're a Sanders fan, that's great, but it's not like the paper's under any obligation to be nice. It's not. It's a private company and can take any editorial line it wants, but this kind of stuff is pathetic. Steinhauer is right. We do make tweaks all the time, but usually changes are minor and factual in nature. You fix the wrong number or misspelled name, maybe, or at most you'll chip away at a passage to make it flow a little better. A change to a quote by John McCain in this piece is an example of something that just feels like a routine fix. The original passage had McCain talking about an amendment he worked on with Bernie Sanders to expand care for veterans. It was a long quote, and in the new version, the Times yanked the last sentence, which read, "It was the first real reform of the VA ever." But it still has McCain calling Bernie an honest liberal and describing him as very effective. I don't know. I think that's a pretty big deletion. I think it's a pretty big excision. Uh-oh, Matt and I are going to have to debate this on Useful Idiots next week. It was the first real reform of the VA ever. That's a pretty, I think you got to give it to him. By the way, I see some people are sending super chats, and I will get to those after, I go through this. There was not much of a substantive change there. They just made a longer quote shorter, which is something we do in this business all the time, ideally before publication, of course, but I guess these days after is becoming the norm too. But the rest of these changes go to the heart of the meaning of the article, which is unusual and seemingly a nasty thing to do to the reporter, particularly since the changes read like talking points added by a Clinton aide. I would go ape if an editor pulled something like that on me in public. If you're Sanders, you now know what's going to shake loose when reporting about you goes upstairs to the Times editors. It's not immoral or anything, just sort of crass, and odd that they didn't care that their readers now know too. I mean, I think it's immoral, but I think it's immoral just on a like level of, I mean, I love the guy obviously, but I think it's immoral to change stuff so it's less flattering. Especially when you're writing a reported piece, right? This is not an op-ed. But here's what's interesting about this. So that thing is called a stealth edit, by the way. I'm going to go now to the original, the Ravioli guy's piece, because that's a stealth edit. 1 second. And here's the Broken Ravioli guy's piece, which shares more stuff about it. I mean, I'm trying not to nerd out totally, but I think it maybe is worth looking at. Let's see. Okay, so proof that the New York Times isn't feeling the burn. Okay, let's see. Okay, he goes over the change in the headline, also the deleting of Warren Gunnell's quote, and the adding of stuff that's skeptical. Did I read this one, by the way? I did, right? The enacting his agenda piece by piece in politically digestible chunks. Another even subtler jibe. In the original version, Sanders was described as adept at tacking on amendments to larger bills that scratches. Sorry, I went over that. Oh, this is interesting too. This is a really good one that I think Matt doesn't mention. In the original article, Steinhauer referred to Sanders' legislative efforts as standing in the liberal mirror image of the Tea Party Republicans who opposed large-scale legislation. By the afternoon, the last 4 words had been deleted, leaving the sentence in the liberal mirror image of the Tea Party Republicans. I would say I agree with Ravioli here, Broken Ravioli, which is that the edit ostensibly robs the Tea Party comparison of the context of the author's intent. Yeah, you know what it does is that it makes him sound like an extremist. And in fact, really dumb liberals don't understand that when we're like, we need a Tea Party on the left, that means like it's bold and not moderate. But of course, they're so like triggered or stupid or something. Sorry, I'm not being very diplomatic, but hey, if you're at all open to what I've been saying so far, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the ones who are disingenuous. So yeah, it takes the explanation out of it. So you're just left seeing him as someone who's kind of like the Tea Party. Anyway, so this is the important thing though, ready? Then on March 17th, the New York Times public editor, if you're not familiar with how this rule operates, familiarize yourself here. Margaret Sullivan responded to the issues raised in this Medium post. She spoke directly with Steinhauer as well as 3 senior editors at the Times who offered their input as to what happened. You can read Sullivan's report here. Okay, let's go there. Not letting me link. Guess what happened, guys? Let's see if you can predict what happened. What do you think the editors are going to say? Sorry if this is like super nerdy. But I think you guys are up to it, right? By the way, guess what? Well, spoiler alert, this position no longer exists. I'll just leave it at that. It's a great metaphor for the Times. Okay, were changes to Sanders' article stealth editing. Again, stealth editing is when you make a change without saying it. Bernie Sanders supporters have been unhappy with the Times in recent months, but it looked as if they were beginning to have their moment in the sun on Monday morning. Okay, we already said what happened, right? She goes over it, which we've already talked about. And she also mentions Broken Ravioli. Then she also mentions Matt Taibbi. Later, former Labor Secretary Robert Reich criticized the Times on Facebook, accusing it of caving into Hillary Clinton interests. Yes. Hundreds expressed their support, their disappointment. And some object to the practice of making substantial changes to articles without explaining that to readers, a practice sometimes called stealth editing. Daniel Pereira of Alexandria, Virginia wrote, "How in the world can the Times justify publishing a story and then, after it's been shared many times, changing part of it wholesale to substantially change the tenor of the article with no notice that a change has been made?" Okay, someone else wrote some comments. So then Margaret Sullivan, who was at the time the public editor at the New York Times, I asked top editors at the Times, along with Ms. Steinhauer and her media editor, for a response. The executive editor, Dean Baquet, also responded to Eric Wemple of the Washington Post on Tuesday night, and Ms. Steinhauer responded to the Rolling Stone piece. Both said, in essence, that the changes were routine efforts to add context to an evolving story. What's the evolving story? What has happened over a couple of hours in Sanders' record or in politics that makes this an evolving story? Like, guys, don't you have PR people who can help you come up with better responses? Ms. Steinhauer, in response to my email, suggests I speak to editors because it was an editing decision. So what happened here? Mac Purdy, a deputy executive editor, said that when senior editors read the piece after it's published online, they thought it needed more perspective about whether Mr. Sanders would be able to carry out his campaign agenda if he was elected president. I thought it should say more about his realistic chances of doing that, Mr. Purdy told me. As first published, he said, editors believed that the article didn't approach that question. There was a feeling that the story wasn't written into this moment, Mr. Purdy said. After the editing changes, he said, it got to be a deeper story with greater context. Okay, I don't even know how you can pretend that has anything to do with reality. Where's the added depth? Also, you're basically saying that the piece didn't undermine his viability enough for you to run it as it was. Which again, I want to thank all of you, ranging from Stephanie Ruhle to Mimi Roca, he makes my skin crawl, to New York Times editors, because they really they're so entitled and privileged and insulated that they don't even know what they should be lying about or how to lie about it. 3 editors told me in no uncertain terms that the editing changes had not been made in response to complaints from the Clinton campaign. Did the Clinton people ever reach out? Not that I know of, Mr. Beckett told me in an email. The article's media editor, Michael Tackett, agreed. There's zero evidence of that. That's a bit of a hedge. I mean, usually you'd be like, no. But let's just pause and say that they hadn't. I mean, this is a very pro-Clinton, I mean, the way that censorship or what's the opposite of censorship? Like, party lines get adhered to, or, official lines, or it is not always through a red pen. Crystal Ball did a great monologue about this on Rising, about how when she was at MSNBC and they had to approve the scripts, and she had a script that was somewhat critical of Hillary Clinton, and they gave pushback to it, which then just made her on a kind of evolutionary level know that if she was going to say something critical about Hillary Clinton, she'd get more pushback, and then ultimately just not worth it, right? It's more time and effort. And that's kind of, that's just one example of it. So even if the Clinton campaign didn't reach out, but I'm sure they did, but sure, let's be positivist about this and scientific method and say we don't know that they did, sure. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic when I say sure. I'm like, okay, yeah. That still doesn't mean that they're not in bed with the Clinton campaign. In a one-directional bed. I don't even know. All right. Everyone agrees that factual corrections have to be noted. As for editing changes in stories that are already up, I've written repeatedly that most do not need to be flagged to readers' attention. Doing that for scores of stories every day would be unwieldy. But what about changes that affect the tone and substance of an article? 3 Times editors told me clearly that they don't believe that was required here. These changes were about nuance and depth. Oh, by the way, those are words when people have literally jack shit to say to defend themselves. So they talk about nuance and depth, Mr. Purdy said. In our conversation, Mr. Tackett referred to the blessing and the curse of real-time capability. And he said he made changes to developing stories every day. Again, what's the development? What was developing? Was there a change all of a sudden in how votes happen in Congress? Was there a change about how amendments are done? Was there a change about, I don't know, did they just find out that Bernie Sanders' record was inaccurate and he only I don't know what I don't even know how you can apply that. Fair enough, Margaret Sullivan says. But in this case, I don't agree. Remember, this is a New York Times I mean, she's a fair and balanced person. She's impartial, the public editor, but she's hired by the Times, right? My take, the changes to the story were so substantive that a reader who saw the piece when it first went up might come away with a very different sense of Mr. Sanders' legislative accomplishments than one who saw it hours later. The Sanders campaign shared the initial story on social media. It's hard to imagine it would have done that if the edited version had appeared first. Given the level of revision, transparency with the readers required, given the level of revision, I sound like Stephanie Ruhle. You'll see in a second what I mean when I'll play more of the video and she's reading it as if it's a foreign language in the cadence. Given the level of revision, transparency with the readers required that they be given some kind of heads up and even an explanation. The Times has no workable way to do that kind of thing now. There are editor's notes, but they are rarities and therefore a big deal. They seem to be considered something to be avoided if possible, but online stories elsewhere and blog posts everywhere routinely carry timestamps and notifications that a story was updated, often with an explanation of why. Matthew Ingram of Fortune has offered some worthwhile thoughts about the value of this. So it can be done. And given the importance of reader trust and the Times credibility, that's funny, the paper would do well to give some serious thought to how to do it here. Okay. Yeah, exactly. I just said this. We just said this as a collective, guys. Update. A number of readers have made a point that I should have made earlier. The Sanders article was not a breaking news story, but rather a look back at his legislative record. Given its sensitivity and importance, it ended up on the front page on the morning of major primaries. Why didn't senior editors vet the story and make all the editing changes before it went online? Digital platforms, after all, are not a test run, and non-urgent stories don't need to be pushed out as quickly as this one apparently was. I would also observe that the context added here looked a lot like plain old opinion to this reader and quite a few others. Yeah. What's the development? Anyway, so we know, I just wanted to share that because I think it's an interesting point of comparison. And we need to start like collecting all these talking points so we can recognize them. We should make like a bingo sheet because let's see, what do we have so far? We have the refuting that he works well with others. I'm trying to think what was in this bill. He's not viable. What was it, like stars and stars and stripes? No, shooting for the stars, some of the moon, some of the sun, moderate victories, right? So he just doesn't get stuff done. That's one of the theses being pushed by the New York Times. So then let's just go back to the Stephanie Ruhle and let's see how many of these she repeats. Okay. Was that Chase Bank thing a big enough deal to like justify streaming at a time I don't usually? Please clap. Please say yes. Just kidding. Then I also have to thank the person who sent me the link here. Case study 2B. Okay. We really should write this stuff out.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders from the state of Vermont. He is leading a group of progressive Democratic senators demanding $1,200 stimulus checks be included in the next relief bill. Senator, we've heard your impassioned argument.
Condescending.
How many other senators have you convinced to support these stimulus checks? Any Republicans on board?
Yes, I think there is one. But
can you guys hear, by the way?
Senator Holly indicates that he is supportive of a $1,200 per person direct payment and $600 or $500 for children. I think the Democratic caucus is ready to go forward on that. Yesterday, I sent out a letter with 5 other senators, and I think we can have virtually all of the United States Democratic senators on board. The question now is whether or not Mitch McConnell is going to turn his back, as your report just indicated, on the incredible suffering.
By the way, wouldn't it be funny if while we're not on her, the camera's not on her, she's like, or like the Sanders?
That the American people, the working people are now experiencing unemployment high. We have a record level of hunger in America. Millions of people are facing evictions. This is an emergency. Congress has got to respond aggressively to help working families. You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money.
Okay, we know this point. It's a really
tax breaks for billionaires.
Notice that she doesn't, she's like, she gets the war thing, but she doesn't quite get the tax break for billionaires, which is it, because she's one of those. a millionaire at least. Hold on.
Facing evictions. This is an emergency. Congress has got to respond aggressively to help working families. You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are
no, she did do the thing of billionaire. She didn't do it corporate work.
Hungry in America today,
welfare.
Suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do.
Bernie, what about Hanukkah?
We are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Senator, I'm not agreeing.
Oh, that was her practice move. You see earlier, she was going to do that. Wait, where's that fake out move that she does but then doesn't? Let's see.
Amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money.
Okay, watch, she's going to do the
welfare, endless amounts.
This is her
of money.
I agree with you
Children
move.
Are going hungry in America today. Suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
There
Senator,
she goes back to
I'm
it.
not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have become law. Given that record and how dire things are, as you just laid out, do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
I don't think that's the issue, Stephanie. I mean, you can ask me how many other senators have passed significant legislation in recent years.
Yeah, in fact, we should look that up. Like what, I mean, as Nando Villa mentioned yesterday, one of them, for instance, for Hillary Clinton was a flag burning amendment. Didn't go anywhere, sadly. I think another one had to do with Tim Russert. Someone should tell me. What happened to Luke Russert, by the way? All right, here's the second part.
Example has been very significant in passing. Question is, you could name post offices and so forth and so on. Some of the legislation that I've worked on, the Veterans Bill, for example, has been very significant in passing. But the issue right now is the United States Congress going to stand up for working people or not? And I am doing my best to rally not only Democrats, but Republicans as well. Now, as you may know, the proposal that came out of the White House just yesterday talks not about $1,200 per person, but $600. That's unacceptable. And by the way, they want to do away with all extended unemployment benefits. And that is also unacceptable. As your very excellent report indicated, all over the world, you should watch. Consider watching it. To the pain that working families are experiencing. We have got to do the same.
She's getting a text.
This economic disaster is directly linked to the health crisis. Millions of not millions. We've got people going.
I want to thank Stephanie Ruhle for pointing out to Bernie Sanders that there's a health crisis happening. Who knew? Bernie Sanders certainly did not know. By the way, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to select that chat. I don't know what it says. And everyone, make sure you like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. And I'll get to your super chats at the end. But like and subscribe. Well, I'll show this one. Thank you. Johnny Howell says, Bernie. Yeah. Okay, now I'll get to anyone. Other ones. Okay. Yeah, Bernie really should have replied. Says, I'm dealing with the fucking global crisis here. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, I need to. All right. Sorry about that.
To work sick every single day because they don't have paid.
Did you know that, Bernie?
Leave because they're hourly workers. Should the government consider either forcing businesses or the government itself step in and offer paid leave? Because it's only worsening the spread that sick people are going to work every day. Look at him laughing. Because unfortunately, they're making the decision, put food on the table for my kids or go to work sick and risk spreading this thing.
Bernie, I don't know if you know about this, but people are being forced into a very uncomfortable and dangerous situation. They're being forced to choose between two things. That's not good, Bernie. I just wanted you to know about it. I think this is we can call this tactic a yes, but, which is like, yeah, sure, the stimulus thing is good, but what about doing it this way? As if like Stephanie Ruhle really wants this to happen, as if she wants people to face any punishment for making their workers sick or putting them at risk.
Well, Stephanie is the...
Also, I think she kind of, improvised this talking point because she gets in, she's like millions, well, not millions. Watch this.
Step in and offer.
Hold on.
Is the United States Congress going to stand up for working people or not? And I am doing my best to rally not only Democrats, but Republicans as well. Now, as you may know, the proposal that came out of the White House, $100 per person, they want to do away with all benefits. Report, your very excellent report.
Maybe you should have watched. Okay, watch it. Here it goes. Now, I think she's getting an updated talking point. Watch. The pain that working families or maybe she's looking at her list of talking points and checking them off.
Are experiencing.
Little delay.
Do the same.
This economic disaster is directly linked to the health crisis.
Like what? She says that as if that makes sense in the context of this conversation. As if he had said, there's no relationship between this disaster and the health crisis.
Millions of not millions. We've got.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is, but
going to work sick every single day because they don't have paid leave.
Bernie, you should know. You should really hear me out, Bernie. I want to drop some knowledge.
Because they're hourly workers. Should the government consider either forcing businesses or the government itself step in and offer paid leave? Because it's only worsening the spread that sick people are going to work every day.
He's laughing
because unfortunately they're making the decision, put food on the table for my kids or go to work sick and risk spreading this thing.
And you know what would absolutely not help? Giving them $1,200 instead of $600. That has nothing to do with that. Yeah. Also, Bernie, I just want to make sure you know that people get sicker when they're forced to go to work and there's a pandemic. So you just want you to make sure that you know about that.
Well, Stephanie, as the previous report before you got on indicated.
Which you should have watched.
We are unique among industrialized countries. Let's be clear. We are the only major country on earth not to have paid family and medical leave. So if you're sick today, maybe you have symptoms of the coronavirus, and your choice is not getting a paycheck or going to work, you know what? You got to feed your kids. You're going to go to work. And by the way, it's not only paid family and medical leave. We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. And if there's anything that I hope this terrible, terrible pandemic is showing the American people is how far behind we are other countries around the world in taking care of our children, taking care of the unemployed, taking care of the elderly, taking care of the sick. We're the richest country in the history of the world.
But as Joe Biden pointed out, Italy, they don't have, I can't share this stuff. I don't want people to see nothing scandalous, but they have socialized medicine or whatever the hell he would call it. And they didn't cure corona. So ergo, all right, now let's watch the third part. I cannot believe this, by the way. I mean, I know it's like so naive of me, but what the hell?
$92 million people today are uninsured or underinsured. That is beyond belief. That is why, in my view, we've got to move to Medicare for all, single payer, to guarantee health care to all people.
American people can't afford.
Oh my God. This is literally like she's not actually listening to what he's saying. This is hilarious. You know what this reminds me of? Do you guys remember when Sarah Palin was like debating Biden? And she was, when she was obviously McCain's running mate. Thank you, Stephen Schmidt, who's always on MSNBC. We should really listen to you because you told John McCain to pick Sarah Palin as his running mate. Okay. Do you remember she'd be like, I may not answer the question that you want, but I'm going to answer, but it may not be to the question you want. It was like Virginia Woolf. I actually wrote a satirical piece for like the Huffington Post where I joked that it was like Virginia Woolf's stream of consciousness. Okay, watch what she does here. It's like she's listening to some podcast. Maybe she's listening to Pod Save America, not Bernie Sanders. She gets distracted. and just shoves in these things that are totally unrelated or like not, there's no segue.
92 million people today are uninsured or underinsured. That is beyond belief. That is why, in my view, we've got to move to Medicare for all, single payer, to guarantee health care to all people.
American people can't afford to get healthy with.
Okay, and here's that thing I was talking about where the cadence, it's like literally not a language she understands because just watch. Ready? And she's Italian American, so don't even think about like there's nothing problematic in my saying that. Both because she was born here and also she's Italian, and you know they don't get a pass from Jews. We can talk about that in another episode. If you're a WASP, maybe you have to be careful, but Italians and Jews can go back and forth. Okay.
Guarantee health care to all people.
American people can't afford to get healthy with Speaker Pelosi and Minority Leader Schumer rejecting the latest package. Where do they go from here? What is your advice to them for the next move? We don't want these talks to stall out.
We don't want them to stall out, Bernie.
Is to stand tall. Do what the American people want. And with the American people...
Wait, did you see what she did? She's like, what? Watch her.
We don't want these talks to stall out.
Is to stand tall. Do what the American people want. And with the American people understand that in a democratic, civilized society, we cannot continue to have more desperation out there today than any time since the Great Depression. What the Republicans are proposing is grossly unsatisfactory. You know, you remember, it wasn't so many months ago, the Democrats are saying we need $2 trillion. You recall that? They reached an agreement with Mnuchin.
I do.
$1.8 trillion. Do you know how much new money is in this package? Do you happen to know? It's 300.
And she looks off to the side, like, why are you asking that question?
150. Agreement with Mnuchin.
I do.
1.8 trillion. Do you know how much new money is in this package? Do you happen to know? It's $350 billion because they're shifting 350 billion because they're shifting 500 billion or 600 billion from the unused money in the CARES program. That's nothing.
But Senator,
so we gotta,
people in those Republican.
Oh, this is my favorite part. Watch that. She's going to really drop some knowledge. Because you know how Sanders doesn't care about the deplorables? You know how he's super partisan, only cares about helping Democrats, and he thinks all people who voted for Trump are irredeemable bigots. So that's why. That's exactly why she's going to need to say what she says now. Oops.
The unused money in the CARES program. That's nothing.
But Senator,
so we gotta,
people in those Republican...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please.
All right, we just got to stand tall. That is unacceptable. And we cannot leave here.
Why is he so angry and shouty?
$1,200 for every worker, and we got extended unemployment. We got adequate aid for states and cities. This country is facing a crisis. We have got to respond accordingly.
People aren't just suffering in Democratic-led states. People are suffering in red states.
Okay, again, she's like picking an argument that's not relevant at all. It's as if he just said, Stephanie, people are only suffering in blue states, as you know. That if he had said that, this would be appropriate, an appropriate response.
We have got to respond accordingly.
People aren't just suffering in Democratic-led states. People are suffering in red states, in blue states, in all of the United States of America, and we need to do something to help them. Senator, thank you so much for joining me today. Always good to see you. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
I mean, I think this is called talking pointitis, when you don't have that good of a command of the talking points, and or you're repeating them from someone else, but you're pretending that they're organic and natural in the conversation, which they're not, as you could see. I don't know. It was kind of, I want to thank her. That was kind of amazing. I think she deserves something for that, some kind of award. We should write up a thing, guys. Let's write up like a bingo card of all the things that are thrown at Sanders, but not just Sanders, not me, us. We should do a thing that's like all the talking points. Like I love Medicare for all. I love that idea, but you know, also make sure you check out. I'm going to release a clip tonight of Victoria Dooley, Dr. Victoria Dooley. Yeah, of course, Bernie wants everyone to have Bernie wants everyone to have health care, including conservatives in red states. He's not one of those weird, like sadistic, weirdo, like austerity freaks Like woke austerity people. We needed what's a noun for them? Woke deficit hawks or woke austerity hawks who are like, if you're a coal miner, I hope you die of black lung. And if you're a coal miner who voted for Bernie Sanders, like, I'm glad you're going to drop dead without health care. And also, but I don't really support Medicare for all either because, I don't know, insert some fake pragmatic argument that doesn't even apply, but makes me sound like less of a sociopath, and so forth and so on. Yeah. I know those are neoliberals. Yep, I know that. Woke wine mom be libs. Should we see her apartment? Is that very mean? I'm not going to dox her. I just want to show what it looks like. I don't know. What does that mean? Is that bad? I think I'm going to start making like fake things with people where I do what she does. Someone's like, someone like, you know, near tandem will be like, I'm cutting programs, and I'll be like, well, no, there's nothing I can say that she doesn't just, I'll be like, black and white united, segregation is bad and integration is good, or something, like, as if it's, yeah. Now, look, again, you have every right to live a life of opulence. You just, if you're going to do that, just don't, I don't know. I mean, you probably don't. There's a cutoff, let's be honest. People need to, after a certain point, just cut it off. Cut off the opulence. Am I overselling this? I mean, it's pretty nice, but oh, then I have like an ad blocker. I hate this stuff. Let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to bring up. You guys, this is like, you get to see the behind the scenes to it. Hopefully a video essay, as you guys are calling it, which I've been wanting to do for forever. So thank you. Okay, let's see. I'll just show you her apartment. I mean, it's not like, given how gaudy some people are, it's not outrageous, but let's see. Share screen. Woke Starity. Yeah, that's good. Who wrote that? Let me give you a shout out. Woke Starity Hawks. Who is that? Oh, when are you going to have Joshua Kahn Russell on again? Soon. Why are you live today? Because I'm live today because I thought it was kind of cool. Like, all right, maybe I was a little whatever happy, but look, David Griscom tweeted out, remember when she did a thing with Chase, and I missed it. So then I went back, and I also got excited because they had deleted the video. So I was like, ooh, that's cool. Some intrigue. But I don't know. How many of you in the chat knew that she had done that, teamed up with Chase Bank? And then remind me, guys, I need someone to remind me to make my point about the actual graphics that she could have used. Okay, hold on. Oh, here we go. So here's her apartment that she bought. Nice staircase. Okay, so she, Ruhle and her husband, hedge funder Andy Hubbard, reportedly doled out $7.5 million for a 4-story townhouse on the Upper East Side. They previously owned an apartment in Tribeca, which the couple, who have 3 children, sold in 2015 for $5.2 million. Okay, so they'd struggled. They know what it's like to be living on $600 a month. She was an anchor at Bloomberg, and she was a finance exec. Remember, she worked her butt off. The newly purchased home appears to be an entirely renovated 19th century townhouse. Oops, whatever, it's public, I'm not doxing her. The 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath abode is comprised of a living room, dining room, great room, and library. There are 4 fireplaces in the 3,420 square foot house, and the finished basement includes a media room and a gym. Nice dining room. In terms of exterior space, there's a landscape garden with a built-in gas grill located off the great room, as well as a roof terrace. Maybe Ruhle will give her newly engaged fellow MSNBC host, Mika Brzezinski, some advice on finding the perfect home, as the Morning Joe co-host listed her Bronxville house earlier this year. Those are nice windows. You know what that house needs, though? A sunken, what's it called? A sunken floor? Anyway, that's about it. Oh, well, I mean, then, of course, she isn't the only anchor in the MSNBC network making some moves around the city as of late. Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie is currently trying to find a buyer for her own Tribeca residence, which is currently on the market for nearly $6 million. Maybe she'll join Ruhle and Matt Lauer on the Upper East Side. All right. So again, I mean, that's not, I don't know. How much does she make a year? It's not that much for MSNBC hosting. Maybe she can get the 1,200. Extra 1,200. Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to do that, and a hot tub in the living room. Yeah, thank you for saying that was great. So guys, did you know this? I don't know if you know about this, because I'm watching. She ruined an old school townhouse with her suburbanite aesthetic. Well, I don't know if that's now or after. Like, I don't know if that's what it looked like before or after. So if you're watching me right now on Facebook or on Twitter, you may not know that I have a YouTube show that's usually on Wednesday nights at 9 and Sundays at 7 p.m. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. Hold on. Because this is something, I also want to give, but you can subscribe here so you never miss one. And you can also like, that's always good. Okay, I'm looking for the person who shared the tweet. I want to give them credit. Where is it? Yes, and Bernie does need to pull up his mask over his schnuzzle. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so annoyed at this person who keeps telling me Sanders is a fraud. It's just so, I get it. I understand. Yeah, he wasn't as good as you like on Venezuela, but like, whatever. That's so annoying. Also, if anyone has good examples of woke washing when people respond to a policy critique by invoking the identity of the person, like Jonathan Martin did with Cedric Richmond, let me know. I'll start a Twitter thread that you can respond to. Where is it? Someone sent it to me. Okay. Hold on. His chin below his shoulder, Steve Malloy writes. He turtling. It's true. That's what. Hold on. She came from Bloomberg. What do you expect? You might want to think about taking a different package. Now I'm just reading I'm reading my Twitter responses. Oh, that's so nice. Harry Worth says the best commentary in U.S. politics is from KT Health. That is very sweet. Oh, stop it. Someone wrote, yes, but prioritizing this and ignoring the right-wing media, such as most rising segments you do, isn't helpful either. Being contrarian might be a good business model, but it doesn't address fundamental issues and misinformation. You know what? I'm so tired of this argument. Good business model? I know it's the algorithms, it's the clicks. I'm a grifter. Just accept that other people have political commitments and ideas that don't actually benefit them. You know how much, like, if I wanted to be on media, rise as a star. I mean, if I had been like as feisty as I am for Bernie, if I had been that way for Hillary Clinton, I'm sure I could have gotten a lot of bookings. And also, like, who am I speaking to? Do you think I'm speaking to people who don't think that the right-wing media is bad? That's not that helpful. One second. I'm still, where's the person who showed me this? If I can't find it, I will put it in the description on YouTube. And also, then some guy writes, here's Bernie. Okay, I can't tell if they're sarcastic, so I won't. And now all these people are Bernie is not in a full chamber. All right, sorry. Yay, okay, I can't find it now, so I will go back to thank the person, and I don't know who it was. But someone very nice linked it to me, and if you can't, yeah, she did a couple more too. Oh, a couple more what? Of those clips? Oh, here it is. Tokyo Gouda. TOKYO GOUDA. Yeah, so if they have more, I can't find the actual videos. It must have scrubbed them, but they were very goofy. Yeah. So anyway, guys, okay, here's my final idea. Ready? My final idea is that we should make our own graphics. There are a lot of options, but here's one we could do some graphics out of. Gonna go to my old friend. Now this is good old Warren Gunnels. Remember we talked about how someone was cut out of that New York Times piece, that hatchet job stealth editing piece? That was Warren Gunnels. Let's check him out. Good guy, staff director for Senator Sanders, budget committee. Views expressed here on my own, aka chief of receipts, aka the regulator, aka oh man. Oh, get it? Warren, the regulator? Okay. So here's what he tweeted, and it's still as relevant as it ever was. The New York Times doesn't want you, am I sharing the screen? Yes, right? The New York Times doesn't want you to know it, but I am damn proud of the accomplishments Senator Sanders and our staff have achieved in the Senate and the House, both inside and outside the Beltway. Here's just 20 of our achievements in the last 2 decades I've worked for him. Thread. Ready, guys? Drum roll, please. Providing 9 million more Americans with primary health care, 2 million more with dental care, and 800,000, hold on. Speaking of healthcare, someone needs their glasses on. All right, I'm gonna save this because I can't. All right, I'm gonna open it up. By the way, dental care is very important. Adam Gaffney, who, he better get on the show sometime soon, or I'm gonna have to call him an anti-Semitic misogynist. He has a great piece at the New Republic, I think, about it. You know, people die from not having dental care because you can have an infection and it can go to the brain. All right. A few of Bernie's accomplishments, drum roll please. Providing 9 million more Americans with primary health care, 2 million more with dental care, and 860,000 more with mental health services through a $12.5 billion expansion in community health centers. Meh, no big deal. Raising the wages of 350,000 Amazon workers to at least $15 an hour. Increasing the wages of over 60,000 Disney workers to at least $15 an hour. Restoring 320 million in pension benefits to 130,000 IBM workers. 7 states and over 40 cities passed $15 an hour minimum wage laws. Passage of veterans legislation with John McCain providing $5 billion to hire more doctors and nurses at the VA. Passage of legislation ending our involvement in the Saudi-led war in Yemen. I'm not sure Stephanie Ruhle knows what that is. Passage of the first and only audit of the Fed and of the Federal Reserve in 2010. Passage of the National Affordable Housing Trust Fund Act, preventing Social Security cuts to seniors and disabled veterans, stopping the Postal Service from closing up to 15,000 post offices, and over 100 mail processing plants, ending Saturday mail and slashing over 100,000 jobs, passing more roll call amendments than anyone in a Republican Congress. Passage of $3.2 billion in energy efficiency and renewable energy grants, raising wages of federal contractors to at least $10.10 an hour in 2014, damning the credit card, for instance, I wish, banning the credit card interest rate bait and switch scam, doubling funding for the low-income home energy assistance program, creating the Northeast Home Heating Oil Reserve, stopping bailed-out banks from replacing U.S. workers with low-wage guest workers, prohibiting the importation of goods made by forced or indentured child labor, mandating free credit reports for all Americans. Okay, that's not too bad. Steph, hey, MSNBC, if you're watching, maybe you want to make some graphics with these numbers. I have a feeling we'll have to do it for them, though. What's that? Wait, is that a thread? Oh, hold on. I see. Right. There's it. 3 weeks after Bernie introduced the Stop Bezos Act, Amazon raised its wages to at least $15 an hour. While our critics were busy attacking this bill, we kept our eye on the prize, building a grassroots campaign that wouldn't relent until Amazon raised wages. Okay, so here, basically, he's given the receipts for those things that I said in the above, the aforementioned, the screen grab. Yeah, Warren receipts Gunnels. I just forgot to show something on today. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, basically, Stephanie Ruhle, here's an idea. Have on, oh, Jesus. Look at that. Look at that. He cares about children, guys. Has anyone seen that photo of him hugging Ilhan Omar's daughter? It's so cute. Like she's like up in the air, not up in the air. She's little. I don't know how old she is. She's not the woman who's on Twitter a lot. She's like a girl, and he was hugging her, and her feet were up off the air. It's so sweet. Anyway, so thank you. We're running Shahid versus Pelosi replacement. Yeah. Well, Shahid got Heather Gautney up in here. She's also great. Make sure you're following her. Look at that. Look at that. I work for a small business, and we hire at minimum $15 an hour as a direct result of Bernie Sanders. I appreciate all y'all have done. That's great. Oh, yes, good point from Thomas is online. Oh, I know Thomas is online. And if after reading this, some still think that the number of bills passed prove effectiveness, ability to be POTUS, think about how conservative and bought Congress is. Great bills rarely get signed into law. Otherwise, you author defense spending bills. Those always sail through. Yeah. I'm sorry that Bernie can't brag about all the major and minor health, Freudian slip, major and minor crime bills having his name on them. Yes, again, when Bernie unveiled his plan to end private prisons and child detention centers in 2015 under a Dem president, yes, it didn't start under Trump, he had 0 Senate co-sponsors. Now, in 2019, some senators are coming around and claiming to have a plan. Again, this whole idea, I think this guy's a troll, right? Passing more roll call amendments than anyone in Republican Congress. Oh, he thinks that's an own because it means he's doing the Republicans' bidding. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, he gets shit done. It's true. I want to have Gunnels Warren on. Warren G, exactly. All right, so the Amendment King. Yeah, I mean, all these people are just whatever. Anyway, so this was, I don't know what to call this, but an impromptu live stream. You realize humor is subjective, so worshiping, I sense a fight. Carlin is really no different from me saying Jimmy is, all right, so, okay, and then people are like, yeah, Biden created and passed the goddamn crime bill. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the idea that because you can't pass something, it's not a good idea. Anyone making that is either incredibly ignorant and we can reach them maybe, or they're disingenuous hacks. All right, so again, if you're watching this and you want to, I'm a grifter. Someone mentioned that you can, of course, support the show at Patreon, patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show. You can also support the show, not even financially. You just subscribe, you like, you come by, you spread the word. And I think that's it. Thank you. I didn't even tell Brad I was going to do live stream, and he was just on, which is, thank you so much. Brad, if there's anything I should plug, Katie mimics Jimmy and RT's talking points. She worships the Kremlin. It's her Mecca. It's true. Where is lie? Where is lie? Brad, if there's anything you want me to mention, let me know so I can, anything you want to plug. Well, shit, I got here at the end. Don't worry. You can watch after this. Where do we share the graphics you requested? Good question. All right, so I'm going to do a tweet right now. I'm going to tweet. Let's see. Then people are like, you didn't talk. People are like, you said Stephanie Ruhle instead of. Is this person attacking me? You never know who they're responding to. All right, hold on. What was I just looking for? Oh, I know. Okay, midday stream on now. Yeah. All right, here we go. Ready? How sick are people with the wilting socialist rose thing? They scare me. All right. God, I need to not grimace so much. I need to contour more. And I'm not sure, this hair I think is too straight. Oh wait, and also let me make sure that I don't have, I don't want Putin's body. Do you have live stream weekly? Would love to hear. Yeah, I do it. Okay, I should write this in the thing. Okay. So guys, I do live stream. And it is this. Ready? I'm going to tell you what it is. It is Wednesdays. I should always have this, right? Wednesdays. I live stream Wednesday. Do they say the Russians? Okay, I'm pretending not to know. Okay. Live stream Wednesdays at 9 p.m. EST. Sundays at 7 p.m. EST. YouTube.com. The TV Helper Show. Great. Now maybe this is too distracting. You'll let me know, I'm sure. Okay, and let me unhighlight the comment. Yeah. Oh, she's typing. Okay. Katie Fit. Hold on. Katie Fit picks dumb fights on Twitter against Kamala fanboys and fangirls. Thank you, David Williams. You should send me I don't know, your suggestions for the person with whom I should be picking fights. Okay, what's the other thing I was going to show you guys? I can't remember now. Wait 1 second, please. I was going to tell you some of my cool guests coming up, if you'd like that. And they include, Brad, your chat's disappeared. I don't know what happened. These guests, you know who I'm having on oh, wait, here they are. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I missed some super chats. Thank you. So, Fun Police sent $1.99 saying, thank you for pointing this out. You're a badass. Thank you, Fun Police. Spectrum 86 said, Katie Halper, please have Michael Hudson interview. He's 81, the economic truth teacher. Okay, I will. If anyone has how to reach him. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Remind me right after I stop reading this. Remind me in the comments. I need to do a tweet. I need to write under this tweet. Actually, you can, hold on. Eroker said, are we not over Bernie yet? Electorism for the left, Marxist-Leninist always fails. So get over and organize. I'll do both. Thanks. And I'm going to relitigate that primary. And you know why? Because they're important messages to be taken away from it, including messages that are being distorted right now. Like, these ideas aren't viable. We lost seats in the House because they were too radical. You have Donna fucking Shalala saying that while she lost her own seat. She's saying moderates won. What happened to you? Unless she thinks of herself as like Che. Monkey says, why aren't we attempting a general strike right now? Even if it fails, doesn't seem worth the effort to at least put the idea in people's heads. That's, yeah, I mean, I should do a show on this actually, because it can be worth it. It also can be demoralizing if it doesn't work out well. And in a way that's more demoralizing than other things. Because it would be very dramatic. Okay, iRoker writes, too late, Bernie, too late. Why speak to this tool? That makes me angry, and I'm not even a U.S. citizen. Please don't tell me you're from the motherland. I'll get into trouble. Wait, what do you mean, why speak to this tool? You mean why would he talk to, because he should get his message out there. Abu Haram writes, absolutely intentional, absolutely coach. The only reason they had him on was on hopes they could ambush him into a bad soundbite, which they couldn't. Which is more than I can say for myself sometimes. Also, I want to thank Joshua Bregman for screen grabbing that clip. I think that's about it. Okay, and now the final thing is this. People ask where they can put the graphics that I want us to make so we can make a video. And that would be, I'll tell you where to put that. It would be Okay, how about if you're on Twitter, you can put it. I'm gonna pin this to my. I'm gonna pin this tweet. MSNBC's Bernie bashing Stephanie Ruhle is problematic. I think it's a pretty good off the fly, off the cuff title, by the way. So I just don't like that I look a little tired today, and I could have used more contouring. Again, damn. Just being honest. Okay, guys. Hashtag. This is what feminism looks like. Okay, so yeah, if you see that, you can tweet there, or you can leave comments in this YouTube video. And yeah, what did someone ask? Did you do this after? Did you do this just after the Useful Idiots? Wow, busy day for you. Hope that you have your red wine and rye chips ready for you. I actually don't drink red wine. I taped Useful Idiots and some other stuff today. Yeah, wow. I taped last night. We did a live stream, and then I taped something this morning at 10:15. Then Useful Idiots. You're gonna love our guest. Not giving, not gonna give it away, but you're gonna love it. Make sure that you, if you don't subscribe to Useful Idiots, guys, which is the podcast and YouTube show that I do with Matt Taibbi, make sure you do that. And the way you do that is you just subscribe wherever you subscribe to your podcasts. Look for Useful Idiots. Also, YouTube, subscribe to Useful Idiots. Hit that like bell and hit that subscribe bell. That subscribe, I mean. Also, please, again, I'm going to encourage people to rate and review my podcasts on Apple Podcasts or whatever, because that's good. And, of course, just like this channel. I don't know. Follow all the people I have on. Yeah. Okay. Wait, oh yeah. Someone said Aaron Brockovich was good, right? And yeah, we'll have a Useful Idiots out tomorrow. I'm gonna, yeah, we must defeat the pod sabers. That's very true. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you so much. And I will see you, barring any other developments, I'll see you Sunday. And by the way, it'd be funny if I got like really overly into this and was like, oh my God, I just found out that Stephanie Ruhle tweeted something. Breaking news. I'm going to live stream. By the way, Sunday night, who's our guest? My foot's asleep or else I would grab the book. Is it behind me? My guest is going to be Christian Parenti. And we are going to try this thing where we do, where Lisa Mojica isn't here right now, but where we're going to do something called Democracy Leader, which is where, okay, guys, you got to think it's weird. We're going to have coffee. You don't have to have coffee. I need coffee in the morning. So we're going to have coffee and water because I need to do a water challenge. So I'm inviting everyone here. If you feel like you need to drink more water, and also organize your head. We're going to have water drinking. Then we're going to have morning pages, which is something Julia Cameron does. And it's really great. It's so good. I love it. It helps me organize my thoughts big time. Maybe if we start this spin-off, she'll come on the show and talk to us about it. So morning pages is when you just write 3 pages without stopping. And it's stream of consciousness. Don't overthink it. And then we're going to go over some Democracy Now! Headlines. Ergo, Democracy Now!, Democracy Later, but you add in the water, and that's Democracy Leader. Does that sound good? I think I'll start it, maybe I'll start it tomorrow, but probably not. I think I'll start it next week because I want to do some other stuff. But if you subscribe, you will get a notification. It would be a fun thing, right? Also, not to keep teasing this, but we will do a streaming party of a movie on Amazon. And the other thing I was going to say is, read up, guys. Buy Radical Hamilton, because our guest on Sunday is going to be Christian Parenti. Our guest on Wednesday is going to be Lee Camp. Our guest the following Sunday is going to be Natalia Viana. And we're also going to have on Abdul Al-Sayed on the 30th. And many more. We're going to get some Trillbilly workers on the show. And yeah. Okay. See you guys soon. See you at least on Sunday night. Bye. Oh, and of course, you can support the show on patreon.com/The Katie Halper Show, but I already told you that.